My name is Tsui. I'm from Ping An Asset Management Hong Kong. I joined Ping An Asset Management Hong Kong back in July this year. And before that, I was with Taikang Asset Management Hong Kong for more than 7 years. Taikang is the largest privately held insurance company in China. And just like Ping An, both of them are among the top 5 insurance companies in China. Well, I do not want to be too emphatic on my experience with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, where I spent 3 years in this New York representative office. But witnessing the traumatic September 11th incident helped me to understand more about the implications of geopolitics on the bond market, and that gave me, the insight to avoid like the CDO crisis and also monetize on the great, opening of the dim sum bond market. China is the second largest economy in the world, and obviously it is becoming a more consumption-based economy, and it will, when it buy more consumer goods and services from other parts of the world, more renminbi will be available to other countries for investment. After all, ASEAN, for example, accounts for nearly 15% of China's trade with the world, and this region will become a more, investor, increasing important to the China's capital market. There have been a lot of steadfast capital market developments during the 13th five-year plan period. For example, the opening up of Stock Connect and Bond Connect in 2016 and 2017, the MSCI inclusion of A-shares in 2018, as well as the lessening of restrictions for RQV and QV quota holders. All of this, in addition, just like FTSE Russell Rigby inclusion of CGB in these bond indices, actually all of these capital market developments have laid the foundation for a lot of investors into China's onshore market. And I think in the coming 12 months, there will be a lot of refinement for these already foundations. For example, hedging tools for investors, for international investors of their renminbi exposure will be one of the key milestones in the coming months, because after all, hedging that renminbi denominated bonds or stocks into US dollar, in fact, now it offers like a 2% pickup. In fact, yes, the Bond Connect and the CIBM Direct channels have been offering very good access methods for these investors. And now there have been more, flexibility for these investors to settle, for them to hedge. For example, in the past, there is only one way for an investor to hedge their onshore bonds via the custodian, but now they can seek at most free, counterparties, either using onshore or offshore channels to hedge their FX exposure. In addition, the time for settling their trades, like the T+1, now it is extended to like 8 p.m. for T+1 onwards trade. It is very flexible indeed. Yes, in fact, over the last 5-year planning period, investors have been introduced to a lot of initiatives. And in the 14th 5-year plan period, there will be more refinements. And I think after the post-pandemic era, for example, President Xi met with President Biden back on 14th of November. In fact, investors have been warming to the Chinese market, and the Great China Reopening Trade is perhaps the theme in 2023. So coupled with the market deregulation measures, especially in the custodian, in the clearing, as well as FX hedging. In fact, we are very hopeful that investors will be warm to the Chinese market. Investment-grade US dollar bonds, especially in the short tenors, have been a safe haven for many US dollar-based investors. In fact, just parking in 6 months or below in the bonds issued by Chinese issuers, especially from the SOE and government-related entities, offer a very good sharp ratio trade for these investors, especially after the Federal Reserve hike interest rates aggressively, since March this year. So, in fact, the short tenor is perhaps the best trade in 2022. But looking ahead, in fact, the extending duration in the investment-grade dollar bond space issued by Chinese issuer will become the theme of the coming quarters, especially when the Fed is focusing on a much gradual tightening of monetary policy in the US. I think this is very conducive to the Chinese investment-grade bond market. In fact, I first came to Singapore to join the Fixed Income Leader Summit back in 2016. And when the FIRS considered to set up a conference in Hong Kong back in 2017, I was very happy to have helped the conference organizer to speak to my contacts, my acquaintances in Hong Kong to become one the panel speakers. And it is great to see FIRS continue to be so successful, especially during the pandemic, as well as after now it's become normal again.